while we're assembling, the last month I talked a lot about we were looking for as close as we could get to that historical person of Jesus of Nazareth. So we did some exploration. And one of the things I ended with on Easter Sunday was that it seems that many of the Bible scholars believe that the Gospel of Q, which is what they call the most original sayings of Jesus, is that those sayings are like the kernel or the nugget of what we think that this man brought to us to teach. So I thought we would investigate a lot of these kernels. Today I wanted to start with love your enemies. Love your enemies, which was actually quite a radical thought 2,000 years ago. And I have with my wonderful posse of open-hearted people, we're going to present to you some stories of forgiveness.
Oh, wow. I didn't see that picture when we were practicing. Whew. The unlikely pardoner. This is what you get with an open-hearted person right here.
That's right.
All right. Iranian woman Samira Alinejad had said that retribution had been her only thought after her teenage son was murdered. But in a dramatic turn at the gallows, literally moments before the killer was to be executed, Alinejad made a last-minute decision to pardon the man. Islamic Sharia law gave the young man's mother, Samira Alinejad, the right to extract revenge by participating in the execution of the man who killed her son. As the convicted murderer stood in the gallows, a noose around his neck, she was called forward to help kick the chair out from under him and administer the ultimate punishment. Instead, she shocked the crowd by first slapping his face and then publicly forgiving him. After her husband removed the noose, Alinejad and the killer's mother embraced, both of them sobbing. At least one of their sons had been spared. And she said, "I feel that vengeance has left my heart."
A mending feud. In May 2014, New York Times photographer Peter Hyogo began a photo essay project in Rwanda to demonstrate the forgiveness between the Hutus and the Tutsis. These are the two cultures involved in the 1994 Rwandan genocide that has taken millions of lives. In the photos, members of both cultures stand side by side. Jean-Pierre Karenzi is the perpetrator on the left, and Vivian Niramana is the survivor. Karenzi, "My conscience was not quiet, and when I would see her, I was very ashamed. After being trained about unity and reconciliation, I went to her house and asked for forgiveness. Then I shook her hand. So far, we are on good terms." Niramani said, "He killed my father and 3 brothers. He did these killings with other people, but he came alone to me and asked for pardon. He and a group of other offenders who had been in prison helped me build a house with a covered roof. I was afraid of him. Now I have granted him pardon. Things have become normal, and in my mind I feel clear. Now I have granted him pardon. Things have become normal, and in my mind I feel clear." Let me repeat that one more time. Now I have granted him pardon. Things have become normal, and in my mind I feel clear. The understanding widower. Early one morning in Decula, Georgia, Matt Swatzel was driving home from a 24-hour shift as a firefighter and EMS and had only 30 minutes of sleep. He was less than 4 miles from his home on October 2nd, 2006, when he suddenly heard what he calls the most god-awful sound I've ever heard. Swatzel, then 20, realized he had fallen asleep at the wheel and crashed. When he got out of the car, he saw the car of 30-year-old June Fitzgerald. She was pregnant and with her then 19-month-old daughter, Faith. Faith survived the crash, but her mother and unborn sibling passed away. June's husband, Eric Fitzgerald, a full-time minister, grieved the loss of his wife and child with close family and friends, including young people from his student ministry. One young girl told him she couldn't help but think of how the driver of the car was feeling. He told her she was right and that they should all pray for him. It was his opportunity to practice the forgiveness he had preached so many times before. You forgive as you've been forgiven, said Fitzgerald, referencing a Bible verse. It wasn't an option. If you've been forgiven, then you need to extend that forgiveness. Fitzgerald's forgiveness has created a friendship now 6 years strong. The men stayed connected by meeting at least once every 2 weeks, attending church together, and eating meals at the Waffle House and other restaurants, just the two of them. If you've been forgiven, then you need to extend that forgiveness. Let me say that one more time. If you've been forgiven, then you need to extend that forgiveness.
An unexpected caregiver. In an interview with Real Simple, domestic violence survivor Pascal Kavanaugh said she never thought she would reconnect with her mother, her abuser, during her adult life. However, in 2010, her mother suffered several strokes that left her unable to communicate or to take care of herself. With no one else to help, Kavanaugh began to sit by her mother's bedside and read to her. Through this, Kavanaugh says the hate she had for her mother dissipated into forgiveness and love. As the only relative capable of caring for her mother, Pascal's father and brother had both died, she felt duty-bound to help. She sat by her mother's side around the clock, reading books out loud and just talking, though not sure what, if anything, her mother could understand. At first I was angry. I felt she had left a mess that I had to take care of, says Pascal. But as the months went by, her fury at her mother, who was now in such a vulnerable state, slowly dissipated. Finally, one day, an exhausted Pascal suddenly laid her head down in her mother's lap, and the hatred went away. It was just gone. She said, "For the first time, I stopped condemning her, and that gave me peace. I stopped condemning her, and that gave me peace."
The unwavering mother. 2 years ago, Addie Guzman de Jesus suffered an unimaginable loss. Her daughter, Lourdes, who was 13, died after a classmate accidentally shot her while showing off his stepfather's gun on their school bus. Instead of holding on to her anger, she not only forgave her daughter's killer, she pushed for a lighter sentence for him, which resulted in a plea deal he accepted in a Florida courtroom on Tuesday. Howell will serve 1 year in a juvenile detention facility instead of the harsher punishment the judge wanted, while also touring the state with Guzman de Jesus, talking to students about the dangers of guns. The judge was equally moved by Guzman de Jesus' extraordinary gesture of forgiveness. In 20 years, I've watched human tragedy unfold in this courtroom, Miami-Dade Circuit Judge Ellen Sue Venzer said. I could have never imagined the victim's mother embracing her child's killer. Guzman de Jesus told reporters that she believes this is what her daughter would have wanted her to do. Justice is already done, Guzman de Jesus said. I really do forgive him. I really do forgive him.
I stopped condemning her, and that gave me peace.
Now I have granted him pardon. Things have become normal, and in my mind I feel clear. If you've been forgiven, then you need to extend that forgiveness.
I feel that vengeance has left my heart.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. And I read those over and over again, and yet listening today, there definitely had some tears rolling down my cheeks. All of us have people we need to forgive. And all of us recognize that it takes opening your heart. And it seems like it's going to hurt even more than we've already been hurt. And for this, in order to explain how I think one of the ways we can do this, I turn to the Gospel of Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. If you can't be with the one you love, honey, love the one you're with. How do I make that about forgiveness? That phrase was one of the phrases I needed over and over again when I was at school at Unity Village, and Roland was mostly in Florida. Because I needed not to dwell on how much I missed him. And I needed to dwell on the connections and the love that I had with me. So I said that a lot. And of course, I have a wicked sense of humor, so, I said it to him too. But I love taking it deeper, because think of all the aspects that are in that. Let's start with this. If you are feeling the loss of the one you love, you need to let that go in order to love the one who is with you, okay? Can't be with the one you love the one you're with. You got to let go of the pain or the thinking about what you lost in order to see who you're with. Here's another aspect. Love the one moment you are always with. Okay? We are always with this moment. But if we are hanging on to a moment that came before, we're not going to be available to this moment. So love the one moment you're always with. Aspect 3. Love the one you are always with. All that is the one mind. Non-duality. Love the one that is with you always. Aspect 4. Love the one you are always with, including all the parts of yourselves, the parts that you embrace and the parts that you push away. So love the one you are always with, you, including your Christ self, your capital S self and the small s self. The part of you, all the parts of you, even the part that's hanging on, even the part that's nasty, just even the part that you're not very fond of, the weak part, whatever it is, whatever you've labeled it, love the one you're with, which is you, in all aspects. And I think this is, if you follow along with me, can actually be some pragmatic steps to forgiveness and loving the one you are with. One would start by identifying, what are you hanging on to? What are you feeling the loss of around forgiveness? What are you hanging on to? What are you feeling the loss of? Is it a particular person? Is it a past moment in time? A past version of yourself? I have to tell you, I have lately been really struggling with the you I was when I was 30. Something about the youngerness, the strongerness, whatever it was. I realize that I have been loving the past one I was instead of loving the one I'm with. So you've identified that. That's step one. Here's the next thing. You got to celebrate the loss. You know, you don't just brush it away. You need to mark it and celebrate the loss. Mourn it. Write a sad, wordy, emo poem and recite it in the rain. Toast it. Have a messy, maudlin, over-the-top wake with a bunch of your crazy friends. Okay? You know, right now I'm envisioning a cake with a picture of my 30-year-old self as we all eat it and toast to the person who was there. Have fun. Mark its leaving. Scream about it. Have a foot-stomping, hand-pounding fit or temper tantrum in a safe place, and probably you want to do that by yourself or with a very understanding friend. Burn it. Get your own burning bowl action. And set pictures and whatever else you want to release on fire. Either make a safe little actual fire or burn, somehow make a conflagration in your mind and your heart and burn what it is to let it go. So then the next step is probably, really important. All these steps are important. The next step is to create some space. Create some silence. Create the space for which creates a vacuum to pull in the new present. For whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, a former you, whatever your loss, create that space. And then look around for the one you're with. Look around for the you that will emerge, because it'll be there. Look around for the absolute amazing, I would like to quote Elsie here. Look around for the absolute amazing opportunity that is in you, ready to be around you, in the faces of the people you hang out with, and in every moment of the day that you're going to be. Now, I love to pound this. I love to pound this technique. I love to pound this embracing of the moment. And let me just go over the practical steps one more time so that we all know what our homework is. The steps to forgiveness by me. Identify, what are you hanging on to? What are you feeling the loss of? Celebrate the loss. Make a big noise. Create some empty space. And then look around. And who knows what you're going to find? Hey, in my case, I found somebody, who wasn't around when she was 30, who actually likes to run a half marathon. I found somebody who, all in all, is just, believe it or not, a little more tolerant and a little more happy with herself than the 30-year-old me was. And I know that for everybody, and we have had terrible losses, probably as terrible as some of the things that the people were forgiving other people to, those stories of forgiveness. I'm pretty sure that your heart responded because you had just as much of a loss, right? As what those people were sharing. Inside you have lost something that you need to forgive. And I promise you, if you follow these steps and you create that space, and in the space you connect with your divinity and get all the help you can, all the spiritual help that is available to you by calling upon it, and you will find a love in the one you're with that is going to make you stand up and dance. And in a couple of weeks, I'm sure we'll all be singing that song together. Let's take an offering for unity.